welcome to the latest episode of the OPT Fitness Podcast. As I previously said, this series is going to be a mixture of me sat here on my own and me then inviting some guests in for a chat. So tonight I want to talk about something else that it's possibly a bit controversial. So it's about coaches, trainers, PTs, etc., and what they should look like. Now, this came about because I've seen a few posts recently criticizing bigger PTs. And one podcast in particular, I'm not going to dignify them by telling you their names. But some of the stuff that they were saying really, really hit home to me. And it was pretty disgusting. And it was terrible the way that they were talking about bigger PTs. Now, the way they started their podcast was talking about PTs and, it should be, the big PTs, who wants a PT? And they immediately changed from just PTs in general to, would you have that fat bird teaching you? And I'm like that. No, guys. I mean, to be fair as well, first of all, these two guys didn't look like they've ever even seen the inside of a gym, let alone had the balls to become a trainer and actually put themselves out there to try and teach other people. What they did look like is that they were close friends with, the all-you-can-eat buffets in this world. But, I don't want to talk too much about them because I don't want to give them the credibility that they're clearly searching for. But as I'm a big lad, as you can see, and I've never hidden the fact I'm a big boy. I've told you plenty of times that, most of my recent career, I've been above 20 stone. But why was I above 20 stone? None of this has ever been, taken into account when people talk about what size PTs are and everything else. It's always a case of, they need to look like a wee skinny, muscle-bound, chiseled out of stone or whatever. My thing here is why? Why do PTs need to look like that? And who says they need to look like that? I don't think they do. What I think I'll do is I'll give you some of my stats and then we'll work from there. Okay. So currently, as we stand here, I weigh 120k. All right. But I can bench press more than my body weight. I can squat double my body weight, and I can deadlift a lot more than double my body weight. I'm also capable of doing 10 rounds of boxing training, and I can still run 5k in under 30 minutes. Now, I know under 30 minutes is not fast if you're a runner, but everything else into context, given the fact also I'm 53 years old and I'm a year after being diagnosed with cancer, I think that's a fair, it's okay. But according to these two chaps, what they were looking for is that I needed to be 80k so that I could look the part to train other people. I don't think I've ever heard so much tripe in all my life. I genuinely, I'm thinking, why? I get all of that, people would like to see, or some people would like to see, these wee 23-year-old, 25-year-old lads and girls, absolutely ripped and, abs showing and everything. But my question is, does it mean I'd be any better if I was a skinny little guy? No, I don't think it does. As I say, I'm 53 years old and I have been involved in sport since I was 9. All right. I've changed my preferred sport loads and loads of times. I chose to be a big guy because of the sport I'm in, strongman, requires me to be big. Okay. So the other thing is, let's look at this idea a little bit more. If you think your trainer has to be this slim, skinny, ripped, 7% body fat trainer to be a trainer, okay, let's follow that through. So theoretically then, that means you also believe that Usain Bolt's trainer had to be faster than him to train him how to run fast. Yeah? Or he couldn't have trained him, obviously. Or another one. Let's look at the best football manager to ever come out of this country. And he was the best football manager by a country mile. Managed a team down south that I'm not a fan of, but, never mind. We'll forgive him for that. But what we would say then is, in his playing days, he should have been an absolute football god. And if he wasn't a football god, he shouldn't be able to train. Well, the truth is, Alex Ferguson was a bang average as a footballer. No more, no less. He was bang average. Or let's take another look at it. When you go to school, or your English teachers, are they all best-selling novelists? No, of course they're not. It's a completely outdated idea. To be a good PT, you need to look like you're carved out of stone. And let's be honest, what is the main difference between me, this size, and a PT with visible abs? The main difference is about 10% body fat. That's it. Some of them have got about 30 years, or I've got on them, should I say. I've got knowledge and the personality to help folk that attend my classes. Does it appeal to everybody? No, of course it doesn't. Not everybody wants to be trained by, me. Some people absolutely will want to go to, a young, fit-looking lad or girl, because that's what they aspire to be. They aspire to look like that person. If you're not 53 and a big strong man, and like me, you're probably not aspiring to look like me. Let's not kid ourselves. And I'm fully aware of that. But what does happen is, as people get a little bit more, a little bit older, a little bit more experienced, they don't want the person that looks like that. They want somebody that has the ability, the knowledge to deliver what they're looking for. Just because I don't look, 12 stone or 14 stone or whatever you want me to be, and I don't have visible abs, doesn't mean I don't know how to get you visible abs. Doesn't mean I don't know how to make you the best form of yourself that you can be. It just means that's not for me. I don't need to be, a tiny wee skinny guy to perform my sport. And I will never be a tiny wee skinny guy. That's just never going to happen. Let's get back to these two. I want to call them men, but the way they talk about other people and women, and women especially, it was disgusting. There's nothing manly about it at all. For them to sit there looking like they did, and I mean, absolutely an absolute mess, the two of them. It's just not on. There's no reason in this earth that you should be out there discussing what anybody else looks like in the first place anyway. What's in your business? None of it. And if you can't even be bothered to make yourself look even remotely like, you go to the gym or you're in some sort of fitness, then stay away from commenting about other people. Simple as that. Now, let's get back to me being a big boy and everything else, and people will say, oh, look at the size of you. You shouldn't be commenting. If you look at me, I have clearly been working out. I've clearly been at a gym. Yeah. Am I 7% body fat? Oh, of course I'm not. But at least I'm trying to do something. At least you can obviously say. But when you sit there and your shoulders come, start down at your waist, it's pathetic. Absolutely pathetic. Right? Leave people alone. There is no requirement for people to all look the same. I'm sick and tired of hearing that. I absolutely am. There are some fabulous PTs out there that I know that are just normal looking folk. Don't get me wrong, there are some absolutely amazing PTs out there as well, some fabulous PTs that have got a 7% body fat and are fantastic. The difference between a PT that is good and isn't is they know what they're talking about. Whether they've got 7% body fat or 30% body fat doesn't make them a good or a bad PT. Can they demonstrate the exercise or whatever that you're about to do? If they can, that's all they need to do. They don't need to be doing it as fast as you. They don't need to be doing it as heavy as you. They don't need to be doing anything. Do they know how to take you from being what you currently are to where you want to be? And more importantly, do they and can they say to you, where you want to be isn't going to happen because X, Y, and Z, if that's the case? Yeah. At 53 years old, I am unlikely to ever look like a 25-year-old again. But if I walk into a gym because that's what I'm told I have to look like, and that's what I aspire to be, I want my PT to turn around to me and say, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen, big guy. You aren't ever going to look like a 25-year-old again. and neither should I. Okay, so I think that's probably enough of ranting about it. If you don't agree with me, tell me. Let's have a look. Give me your thoughts. What do you actually think? Before I came on here, I went on to my group chat with the clients that I have that come to my classes, and I've got a good mix of folk that come across the broad spectrum of abilities, body shapes, and everything. Some of them have been coming to see me for in excess of 6 years. Others have just started inside the last 6 months. And I asked them all to be honest and say, why, and do you look at me and think, oh, he's not very good or whatever and everything else? Or when you walked through the door for the first time and you saw me stood there about to take a fitness class, what did you think? I got some really mixed answers back. Not one of them said, oh, because you were a big boy, we didn't think you could do it. Probably because they looked at me and thought, that guy probably knows what he's doing because he's an older guy. 53, I'm an older guy. He knows what he's doing. He's got the experience. He's got the knowledge. I don't have the abs. Well, I've got the abs, but they're under the 25% body fat. It is what it is. So anyway, one of the best comments for me as a person came from, I'm going to try and read it out for you. I won't read the whole thing out because it does mention other people in it. So one of them says, they'd never thought about my appearance. They've always thought I've been fit and strong, and it's clear to see. Thank you, I appreciate that. As your knowledge and coaching abilities should be what it's all about, and they are outstanding. Somebody else, and again, I'm not going to tell you about the names. I'm going to try and sort of read it, but cut them out. I remember being told about a class where our kids could come along and do their own class next to us while we did ours. We went to a boxing class and kept looking over at your class as it looked so much better. You were way more enthusiastic. She then does say about nothing wrong with female, blah, 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 feminism, all that, girl power, all up for that. And immediately they wanted to join my class. Your appearance wasn't even a thought. It was the way you were with the class. So, there's two, and it just goes on. They went on to say as well that they spent so much time looking at my class, they kept getting everything wrong they were meant to be doing in theirs. Again, though, these were people looking at me, didn't know me, never met me. And they'd never met me before. But the ability that they saw in me to deliver a class, to be pleasant to people, to help people, to share my knowledge with people, overshone the fact that I think at that time I probably weighed about 18 stone or something. I might have been lighter than that because that was in my running days, where I was properly running. So, the way I looked never mattered to them. They could see past it. All right. Again, is it because of the way I deliver classes, the way I appear, the fact that I live by my my sayings of, keep smiling, everything's easier than with a smile. Maybe it is, maybe it's not. I don't know. But what I do know is that, these people looked at what they were seeing in terms of the delivery of the class and thought, that's for me. In case you're wondering, I don't really advertise my classes at all. I like to keep them nice and small so that I can be there for everybody that attends a class. And there's a difference as well. Probably as you get a bit older and it's not your number one income, things change as well. My main thing is, and I'm back on it again, you have no idea what your coach or what the coach you're looking at or you're talking about or you're criticizing is actually going on in their life. There's no idea why they're big. As I say, I'm big and I was really big. I was 23.5 stone when I was coaching before I had cancer. That was because I was a competitive strongman. I could still do 10 rounds of boxing, boxing training, should I say, and teaching people and taking part in it every week, twice a week, no problem at all. So just because I look like a 23 stone strongman doesn't mean to say I don't have the ability. It certainly didn't mean I didn't have the knowledge. And it certainly doesn't mean I don't have the wherewithal to teach people. Okay? I can still do a press up. I can do a sit up. I can do a lunge. I can definitely do squats. I can do star jumps. I can do all of these things. I can run absolutely everything. Why do I need to have 7% body fat? Please, leave them alone. You've no idea why people are the size they are. And it's none of your business. If you want to go to a PT with 7% body fat, go to a PT with 7% body fat. All right? If you want to come to a class where the PT doesn't look like that, then go to one. All right? It's easy to be trained by somebody you can aspire to be as well. If you are a 50, 60-year-old woman, you're never going to be a 22-year-old boy. Right? It's not going to happen. Ever. That's a physical impossibility. If you're a 60-year-old woman, you can't be a 22-year-old boy. If you're a 60-year-old man, you can't be a 22-year-old girl. It's just not going to happen. But you know what you can be? You can be a 53-year-old man that's in fairly good nick. Horses for courses. And if you aren't prepared to put yourself out there and become a trainer and actually train people, then stop talking about them because it's none of your business. As I say, maybe stop going to as many all-you-can-eat buffets and actually do something for the rest of the world. Okay? And I know that sounds like I'm being horrible. I'm never horrible to anybody. But that podcast in particular really properly annoyed me. You can probably tell because anybody that knows me knows that I'm not bothered by most things. Most things just go in one ear and out the other, and I don't care. But those two guys properly annoyed me. And I mean properly annoyed me. It's disgusting. It's out of order and it's unnecessary. All that to get people to like you. You're bringing people down that are trying to make a difference in the world, changing things for other people. And just because you're a lazy slob, you think it's okay to talk about them? No, it's not okay to talk about them at all. I am not ending on a downer at all, because that's not the way you should leave anything. This has been a short one, I think, in terms of my podcast anyway, because as we know, my podcast can go on and on and on. So there we are. Let me know what you think. Am I wrong? Have I been overly critical? Were the guys just having a bit of fun? You tell me. Happy to respond to anybody. Please, though, be nice. Why would we not be nice? All right. So we are going to return hopefully next week with a guest. It should have been a guest tonight, actually, but unfortunately they couldn't make it. So that's why I've thrown this one in for you. So hopefully we'll get our guest that was meant to be here tonight next week, and then we'll have a proper little chat. And that way we can just get back to having a laugh and a bit of a carry on and finding out about people. I've got it off my chest. And that's me. I won't talk about it again unless you ask me to. But that's me. I'm a good lad. I'm happy. I'm smiling again. And I'm looking forward to delivering classes again the rest of this week and getting to meet these lovely people again that have given me such wonderful comments. Honestly, we've developed a little family in my classes. One of the girls that comes has been particularly ill for the last year and has been, unable to attend classes. Again, I'm not going to go into who she is or what her illnesses are, because that's up for her to tell the world, not me. And yes, I know the world is listening. No, one of the things she said was that literally knowing that she could come back to classes at some point helped her through this journey. And it's not about coming back to me and coming back to see me, and it's about being part of something. It's about being part of that class. It's being part of the family. Families fall out. Families can disagree about things and everything else. But you know what? At the end of the day, we are still a family. Treat everybody the way you want to be treated, please. That's what I'm asking. All right. And to everybody else that sent me a lovely comment today, telling me how wonderful I am, I appreciate you. And I really look forward to seeing you all this week. And just because you've been nice to me, don't mean you're getting it for free. Sorry. I'd like to give you it for free, but I'm not. Anyway, right. Keep smiling. Everything is easier with a smile. And we will see you again very shortly. Remember, subscribe, Look us up on Spotify, YouTube. We're everywhere you could possibly get your podcast from. Thanks very much, guys. Great to see you. Keep smiling.